Well, fellow groomers, I thought I would give a little link with you just about the current strange times that we're living in. And I know there's a lot of chat going around, people debating whether or not they should be open, whether they should close, what's the best thing to do. And really, the best thing to do is whatever's best for your particular circumstances. If you have a vulnerable family member living with you, or you're in contact with them a lot, then maybe your best thing is to really minimize your contact with people, and stopping your work would be the best way of doing that. If you're only doing a few small dogs a day, then really you're not in that much contact. Your handover of dog going in and going out should really only be, here's your dog, or give me your dog. But you need to make sure that when handover or hand back is happening, that you can maintain at least the 2 meters apart. So consider your own circumstances. How are you going to do that? Are you going to put a crate in an area that the owners can put the dog into the crate, and that way you can do that on the way back out as well? Is that going to work? If the owners don't get the dog into the crate quick enough, is it secure that if the dog escapes, that he's not going to be running down a busy road? Putting the dog in and out the crate is what my local vet is doing here, and I know one or two others have tried that. My own personal circumstance, I have got a little locked run that I can have the owners stand at one end, drop the dog in there and get out, and I can then collect the dog from that run or call the dog into the grooming room. So it really depends on your own personal setup, your own personal salon, how it works, how you can try and keep the six foot apart from the clients at all times. Wear a face mask when you're dealing with them, when you're talking to them. Why not? That's what a lot of the shop workers are actually doing now, wearing gloves, wearing face masks the whole time, and your hand sanitizer. So being open, being closed, it really depends on your own personal setup, how you can work it. We sent you an email almost 2 weeks ago, and that had the current WHO guidelines in it for managing a workplace, setting up a workplace, whether you have staff, thank you Macy, whether you have staff or not, and how you're going to keep it set it up so that you can keep your social distance at all times from staff members or from public members. So just check your emails, make sure you got that. It also had the current COVID-19 posters in it for displaying in your shops as well. So just make sure you disinfect all handles of crates, disinfect door handles, disinfect lock handles, whatever the owners have come in contact with. As soon as they go, out with your spray, disinfect everything, and the same for your hand back. What a lot of the shops are working with now is either contactless, or rather than putting a card in and getting a pin and having to disinfect your machine all the time, a lot of places are actually working with kind of virtual transactions that the owners call out the card number and you put it in there in front of them. A lot of people aren't taking receipts. I know I'm not taking receipts at the moment either. Just out of interest, anybody who has SumUp, they have reduced the charges of the virtual transactions now, so that they're the same as the PIN transactions are, which is great. So that's something good for us. Dogs straight in the bath, so that you are washing your dog in hot soapy water straight away. There is some discussion going on as to the fact that do dogs carry the virus on their coat. The WHO guidelines are suggesting that no, dogs don't carry it. They don't specifically mention coat, but if an owner or a family member has the virus, is symptomatic, and they are coughing and sneezing on the dog, then potentially there could be virus particles on the dog. But that dog should not be coming into you, because the whole family should be isolating anyway. So maybe when you're doing your text reminders or asking people, make sure they're not symptomatic, make sure they're not in self-isolation, because that will help you out as well as to whether or not you should take that dog. Ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. I know I've asked from many clients, a couple of clients who would have travelled. So I've made sure they haven't been out of the country in the last 2 weeks anyway. So yeah, ask the questions, make sure you're happy taking the dog. I'm putting them straight in the bath. They're getting good hot soapy water wash. So that would be them basically disinfected then. I'm also then wearing a mask when I'm styling them, and gloves gloves when I'm handing them out. I'm not taking leads and collars, but just in case I could be carrying it. Everybody could be carrying it. Asymptomatic carriers are out there. That's where the community transmission issue is coming in, because you don't necessarily have to have symptoms now to be a carrier. So we need to act as if we actually have it, and that we want to minimize the spread to everybody else. That's what the whole social distancing is about. That you're treating yourself as if you are infectious and you are hiding from them. So we need to treat everybody else as if they have symptoms as well, and we want to keep them literally at arm's length, or with like a barge pole. If you're handling cash, a lot of places aren't taking cash, because cash can be one of the main transmitters. If you should have a sterilizer, put the cash straight into the sterilizer, UV sterilizer, leave it in there for most of the day. It will turn it over, because its UV sterilizer works on where the light actually shines. So you might have to give your money a little flip in the sterilizer to get the other side sterilized. But the main thing is the card, and using it remotely, that the clients aren't actually getting near the card. Check the hsc.ie or the World Health Organization for the current guidelines, for the current ways of working. They are the places to get your news. RTE News as well. There's all sorts of fake news going on out there, or just scaremongering tactics. So just thinking, I'm a doer. I like to act on things rather than sitting back and getting all stressed about stuff. So I don't know if you know that with revenue you can actually suspend up to 3 months payments in a year, in a tax year. So if you're doing monthly revenue direct debits, you can suspend that for up to 3 months. So that gives you a little bit of a break on what comes out of your account. Look at your pension. If you're paying a pension, you can freeze your pension at any stage for a short amount of time, as long as you adjust that lack of payment into your accounts at the end of the year. But you can do that. That's another direct debit that doesn't need to come out. Maybe look at your household bills, what's coming out next. So I'm going to make a payment in advance to my electricity bill, which will be coming out next month. For my domestic work, and just make sure that you've got next month's mortgage in the bank. There is a COVID-19 form that you can download that we can claim off the government. So why not download it, have it filled in, ready to go if you do decide to close up, or if you do have to close up. I would suspect that maybe towards the end of the week they may suspend non-essential businesses, and that could be us. So that's where I think it may go, especially seeing as Joe Public cannot stay away from each other. What people don't realize, and it's amazing that this whole situation, this whole war, this is all in our own hands. It's up to us how long it goes on for. It's up to us how serious it gets, and how much there needs to be done, how much close down there needs to be done. The more we don't do now, the more we're going to end up locked up for months. So it could be 6 weeks of being locked up, especially with our Mr. Boris Johnson across the water not doing as much as he could do. It's going to prolong our exposure to it, really. So it's in our hands how quick this resolves. And that's what everybody needs to remember, that the more you follow the guidelines that they're giving us, the better we're going to be, the quicker we're going to be out of this. But it's very difficult to stay positive in this challenging times, but just, try and center yourself off of social media every now and again. You give yourself a time to check it. You could do an hour at 11 o'clock in the day and then just leave it alone. I mean, look at it out here today. It's a beautiful day. The grass is green. The birds are singing. Get out and about, and not with too many people, of course, but just, look around you for a while. I think we've stopped looking around us. We've stopped appreciating what is actually on our own doorsteps. Going forward, hopefully we'll have more consideration for the vulnerable people in our society going forward, especially when it comes to the flu season in October this year. I know I haven't seen my own mother since the first case was diagnosed here in Ireland. I've stayed away from her because with my other half working in Duns and me working as well with public, I know I'm a high risk to her. So, and I know if she got this, it would be curtains for her. She would not survive it. She actually has a DNR signed. So if she even gets a bad bout of flu and needs to go on a respirator, which she probably would at some stage because she has COPD. But yeah, she has a DNR sign, so I know that she wouldn't even survive a really bad bout of flu. So I actually limit my time with her in the winter as well, when there's flus going around and I could be carrying them to her. So, just consider that next flu season, that there are people that flu will kill as well. Just general flu, and think about it next year. If you're symptomatic, don't be going into shops, don't be spreading it around. Self-isolate yourself for flu too. Wash your hands. It's basic. It's just so basic, all the stuff that we need to do that we're actually forgetting to do, really. But, open, don't open, it really is up to yourselves. Think about your work. Check your emails just to make sure that you got that email from us that had those guidelines. And rtnews.ie has great updates during the day as what's happening. Again, the hse.ie website and the WHO, so the World Health Organization. They're your go-to places for all the information that you really need to be known about this outbreak and how it's trailing along. Keep yourself well, guys. Stay safe. Don't be out mingling and mixing. It's just a strange old time. Oh, and our last bit of news. We have had to cancel our William extravaganza in May, unfortunately. We are booking him for May of next year. I don't think there's any point in trying to pull it together before that, because Brazil is only really starting their outbreak now. So yeah, we'll work towards Madremania in October. That'll be our show, and hopefully it will all be over by then and we can all get together by then and have a good old chin wag and a good old chat. Stay safe, guys, and keep out of trouble, and we'll talk to you again.